Hey guys, welcome back. I'm finally back with another video after a very long day at E3, and it was a great day actually. I had a great time, and the Nintendo Spotlight video was a big success. I really enjoyed it. I also enjoyed Sony's conference as well, and Microsoft was not that good, but they did have some interesting things shown in that conference too. Of course, the big news is that Nintendo caught everybody off guard in announcing 2 new Metroid games in one day. I think that was a huge surprise, and in fact I was saying this yesterday, that I really hope that Nintendo has a big surprise that people weren't expecting that they would announce at E3, and here we go, we got it. We got both of those 2 rumored Metroid games coming out. One for the 3DS and one for the Nintendo Switch. Now personally, I didn't really expect them to announce both of the games at the same time. That is unheard of for Nintendo to announce 2 brand new Metroid games or 2 brand new, games of any huge series that they have in the same day. This was really a historical landmark for Nintendo in my opinion. And also everyone knows that Metroid Prime is a huge staple in the Metroid franchise. So Metroid Prime 4, whenever it's released, obviously they've announced it now, but whenever it's released is going to be a huge game and a landmark in the series. And it was really amazing to see this brand new Metroid game for the 3DS, Metroid Samus Returns, which is a remake of the original Metroid 2 on the Game Boy. And of course it looks fantastic. Like, I am blown away by this game. Literally, it looks amazing. It's completely 3D, as in the entire world is rendered in 3D, but it's played in a 2D perspective, so it's 2.5D. But of course, on the Nintendo 3DS, as they were saying in the Treehouse video gameplay, that the world looks fantastic in full 3D on the 3DS screen with the 3D turned on. So of course we'll have to wait and play it for ourselves to see that, but it looked fantastic. I mean, everything you possibly could want from a 2D Metroid game. That game looks like it has everything. It has upgraded beam attacks, it has new moves that Samus can do, it has new counter moves that Samus had, different types of aiming she can do with her blaster cannon. It just looks so robust, and so much effort and time looks like it's been put into this game that is absolutely a must-have, and I can't wait to play it in September on the 3DS. And I never would have thought I would say that about a 3DS game lately. The system's been out since 2011. It's been 6 years. Here we have this fantastic looking Metroid game on the 3DS. I'm completely blown away, and that's my honest opinion. Unfortunately for Metroid Prime 4, we didn't see any gameplay. But of course, Metroid Prime is one of my favorite all-time games, so I'm extremely looking forward to that in the future as well. And in the time frame of these rumors, the developers in question of making these games was being tossed around. Was it going to be Retro Studios? Was it going to be someone else? I've of course heard it was Retro Studios. Nintendo announced that Metroid Prime 4 for the Nintendo Switch is not going to be done by Retro Studios, but it's going to be done by the original director of Metroid Prime and another in-house studio from Nintendo that is not named yet. So it's still going to be in good hands. It's going to be a AAA game from an in-house studio at Nintendo and Kensuke Tanabe, who has worked with Retro Studios countless times in the past, also on Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze and Donkey Kong Country Returns. So the series definitely is in good hands with Kensuke, and obviously he was going to be consulting with Retro Studios probably on this game as well. Even though they aren't directly developing the game, you can bet that they are going to be consulting with Retro because of the first 3 games they developed completely at Retro Studios with him as a producer. So personally, I wouldn't worry about the quality of the game, and some people are worried about that, if Retro Studios didn't do Metroid Prime, that it could suffer. Since Nintendo isn't, shoveling out Metroid Prime to another developer that nobody knows, and doesn't have a very good track record as a test or something, since they're not doing that and doing it completely in-house, I don't think we have anything to worry about the quality of Metroid Prime 4. So we have a lot of excitement and a lot to look forward to with Nintendo at E3, and with Metroid, obviously. They did have some other cool games announced as well for the Nintendo Switch. They had 2 brand new games for 2018 with Kirby and Yoshi, and both of them look pretty good. Kirby personally isn't really my kind of thing, but it looked like a Kirby game, you know, like a straightforward Kirby game. And Yoshi for 2018 looks similar to Yoshi's Woolly World, but something interesting on that game is that it was reported on that it is running Unreal Engine 4, so the game did look really good in that side-scrolling landscape. And Game Freak announced that they are starting work on a Pokemon RPG for the Nintendo Switch, a mainline Pokemon game. It had no gameplay or footage or logo or anything of that, just basically that they're working on something and that we'll see it probably another year or so. So it's quite interesting, right? They're showing logos, they're announcing things, but they're not showing any gameplay. This kind of reminds me of what Sony has done in the past, where they would announce something, get people really excited, but not show anything until later. This is a really good tactic, in my opinion, because it gets fans excited for what's to come. See, fans need to know what's coming to the system, right, to be excited for it. We've been talking about this here, even on this channel, and they wait and wait and wait and wait until they finally can show all this gameplay and everything like that. That's great and all, but fans do want to know what's happening with their favorite franchises, so it would be nice to know if we're getting games like that. So I thought it was a great move by them to announce Metroid Prime 4 and announce Pokemon for the Nintendo Switch without actually showing any gameplay, but to announce it says a lot. It means that you're listening to your fans. It means that you're putting your best foot forward, thinking about the consumer of your product, telling them that they have something to look forward to. Because basically it works both ways. If you only show games for 2018 and 2019 and beyond and show nothing for 2017, then you run into the problem of the fans complaining and say, well, what am I playing in 2017? And you were hearing a lot of that from the Sony crowd from their conference. Basically you have Uncharted Lost Legacy and Horizon Zero Dawn DLC for 2017, and the Shadow of the Colossus remake was the only new game they announced. Everything else was for 2018. So you had that side of the camp, and then you have Nintendo, where you have a mixture. You have stuff for the future in 2018, you have stuff right now in 2017, and you have stuff that's unknown but coming in the future with Metroid Prime 4 and Pokemon. So I thought they did a good job with their conference overall, guys, and that's my honest opinion. I thought it was entertaining, and it was quick, it was hard-hitting, and the announcements made a big difference. You know, they made an impact. Of all the conferences that I saw, I think the biggest impact was Metroid Prime 4, in my opinion, even though they showed no gameplay. You see, when you announce games that people want, it makes the biggest impact. And as far as actual gameplay is concerned, I think the biggest impact of E3 for me personally was Anthem, which they showed on the Xbox One X. That game basically looks incredible. It looks like a next generation Xenoblade Chronicles X. It looks extremely good. So as far as wow factor and presentation, I think Anthem wins in that category. One thing to keep in mind about Anthem is that it's a multi-platform game. You can play it on PlayStation 4, PS4 Pro, Xbox One, Xbox One S, Xbox One X, or PC. So that is not an Xbox exclusive, so just want to keep that in mind. But that was an extremely impressive looking game from BioWare. And of course, you don't want to leave out Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which they showed at the outset of the Spotlight video. That game looks really, really good. The trailer looked really good, actually. It had some really nice and really deep story-driven elements in the trailer, so it looks like a really big focus on the main character again, just like Xenoblade Chronicles 1 did with Shulk. So it makes sense that they called it Xenoblade Chronicles 2. And even on Treehouse, they asked the question why they called this game Xenoblade Chronicles 2. And the producer or director of the game said this was exactly the reason. It was because Xenoblade Chronicles X was not as story driven as Xenoblade Chronicles 1 was. So it made more sense to call this Xenoblade Chronicles 2 than a follow-up to Xenoblade Chronicles X, since it was a heavily story-driven based game. And they did mention in Treehouse that the game was still being worked on graphically, so what they were showing was not final. And quite honestly, it showed. It didn't really look that impressive graphically. Now, if you go back and play Xenoblade Chronicles X and compare it to that opening scene they showed on Treehouse Live, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 definitely is lacking some graphical detail and textures, draw distance, and shaders when you compare it directly to Xenoblade Chronicles X, which I will probably do another video on in the future. But like they said, there's still more time that they're going to be polishing up in the next 6 months or so before they release it by holiday. But other than that, it looks really good, and the gameplay looks very similar to Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and Xenoblade Chronicles X, kind of like a mesh together. It is a little bit different. Quite possibly it might be a little less complicated than Xenoblade Chronicles X was. But that remains to be seen since we haven't dived into the game completely. I've logged in over 110 hours in Xenoblade Chronicles X. I feel like I know that game really, really well to judge that in. So hopefully when this game comes out, I can also see that for myself and see what the differences are, if not beforehand when they reveal more of the game. And last but certainly not least, Super Mario Odyssey, which I am playing here in the video that you're watching, was fantastic. It was really, really good. It felt very similar to Super Mario 3D World, but much more expanded on. Basically, the controls felt flawless, they were spot on, and the hat mechanics were great. It really felt like Mario had way more freedom to do whatever he wanted to do whenever he wanted to do it. You can jump, spin, triple jump, you know, side jump, crawl and stomp, and do everything that Super Mario 64 could do and more. You can even jump into the wall and play as 2D Mario for a certain amount of time along walls, kind of similar to The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds, when Link would go from 3D to 2D mode along the walls. It kind of looks like they borrowed that here in Super Mario Odyssey. And it's really cool because it's like you're playing the original Super Mario Brothers in those brief moments, and you test your platforming skills in 2D, and then you jump right back into 3D. I thought that was done excellent. And the graphics look really good. You know, there is some aliasing issues in the New Donk City area, and the graphics look really good in the area that I played here in this part of the demo, the very cold desert level that I played. But the other level, New Donk City, didn't look anywhere near as good as the sand level, so there was a discrepancy in the visual polish. There was a lot of jaggies noticed in the New Donk City level and some frame rate hiccups along the way as well, and just less detail overall. But in the other level that I played, you know, that you're seeing here, it looked fantastic, and the textures were extremely detailed, and it looked really, really good and impressive. So it remains to be seen. You know, I wasn't as impressed with the other level that they showed, but the desert level there was really, really good. It was really impressive. But of course, we all know Mario is all about the gameplay, right? And the gameplay is really cool. I really like how you can take control of other characters you come across in the game. When you stick your hat on them, basically, you can take control of them and be them for a short period of time, or whenever you decide to leave them, basically. And what's cool is that these characters are used not just, you know, so you can get from point A to point B, but they're used for specific abilities, like seeing, you know, objects you can't see as Mario, for example, or perhaps breaking other things that Mario can't break himself. So it really does add a lot of depth to the gameplay mechanics, having the ability to take control of other characters, other creatures with Mario's hat. So I thought it was extremely well done. It was a very fun game, and I look forward to playing it more soon. And finally, I want to say thank you all very much for your support and all the shout outs you've given me today on Twitter and on YouTube, SpawnWave, and Rule of Two Review, and Real Gamer, and whatnot, and whoever else I missed as well. There's a lot of you out there, so thank you all very much for your support. You know, I've shared rumors on this channel before. Sometimes things come true, sometimes things don't come true. You know, things happen, things change, plans change, whatever, but occasionally things just work out the way they should be. So again, thank you all very, very much. And of course, with Nintendo, I am very optimistic for the future, and I keep saying that over and over and over again, and there's a reason I'm saying that, guys. I take Nintendo's future extremely seriously. It means a lot to me. So when I say that, I do definitely mean it. So I want to let you guys know something. Basically, as with anyone in the industry, there are things discussed behind the scenes that you can't talk about. So keep in mind that just because I may share rumors about certain things every now and then, it doesn't mean that I haven't heard other things as well. So I do hear a lot of information from time to time behind the scenes from various different places, but when you're dealing with things in this industry, you do have to be careful. So I do pick and choose some of these rumors very carefully, and I always leave it open for it to being 100% false, because at the end of the day, they are rumors until they are confirmed either by Nintendo or whatever different company is involved in with the said rumor. So for me in this channel, I see this as an adventure, like I'm on a ride and you're on the ride with me. But before I go, I do want to say this to you guys very clearly, that Nintendo is also on a new journey. This is like a new beginning for them, guys. So keep that in mind, and maybe we'll see in another year or so, or in the not too distant future, we're going to see the full extent of this journey that they're on. So I invite you guys to stay and support Nintendo, support each other, and support the Nintendo fan base. And of course, we're all in this together as Nintendo fans. And yes, they're not perfect, they do make mistakes, and I am going to be critical of them when that happens. That's just the way of things. But we are all on a journey together, and you're seeing it right before your eyes with these brand new Metroid games, 2 announced in one day. That has never happened for Nintendo, with them announcing 2 Metroid games at the same time. These kind of surprises that Nintendo's doing is only the beginning.